Throughout her untitled one-line poem number 2029, Daniel 990 tries to get the message across that trying for a person to try to go against a general conflict, a general feeling that is really difficult to do. She accomplishes this by starting off in the beginning of this phrase, nothing to say, going back to how nothing is used commonly as a theme in poems. It ends up being used to contrast with putting nothing there, comparing against something, and calling it worse, which is sort of done in this, is definitely saying that they'd rather have nothing happen than this thing right here. So, by putting this in, Daniel is saying that by trying to go against the grain, by comparing it to nothing, with the nothing to say, it's trying to get that trying to go against the grain is one of the worst things that can happen, and you end up forced onto it if you want to be successful at all, because that's what it ends up being. For the people that try to go against it, it fails, and the people that follow in can follow. And later in there it talks about that thing, a thing, it's just a thing, anything, just using a thing instead of referring specifically to the item that was talked about is kind of important, because in this case, because in the context, if you've read it, it's right away the first thing, the first picture, and everybody is talking about it and there's nothing about it. So if they'd done that picture, even referred to the picture more detailed than that, then it would end up being like one time, less general, more specific, and not as applicable. But instead, using the words "that thing" ends up making it a general for everything overall. Instead of one specific instance, it's all the instances, multiple instances. The thing, everyone there is used one, because it's used. The exaggeration is used as a specific, trying to increase the strength of it, because that most people are doing, that some people are talking, is nowhere near as strong as that everyone is saying stuff about. So by doing that thing that everyone is saying things about makes it, again, apply to more people. Because every time, whenever you're in the minority, you feel like everyone's going against you, when in fact the minority could be 49%. It could be 49.999%. And yet, it still feels like you're all in the minority. It's just you against everyone else. Saying things about. That, the ending, the saying things about. That is where the key part of it lies. It seems like just one minor phrase, just saying things about. But yet, this is what it is, because not talking specifically what the things are being said about. It's from, we can tell that it's about the same thing, but just saying things about. It's joined with trying to speak out. Saying things about the people. People are saying things about, you're trying to speak out against all the things they're saying about. And it ends up confusing to you, because you're getting assaulted from all sides by different sayings. And by doing this, the sayings for a whirlwind of confusion goes back to The Tempest by Shakespeare, where all the things are about all the things about are like the tempest in there, the whirlwind. Yeah, so this is like comparing to that. There's like a hope in the future, because the families eventually got back together at the end, despite the fact that they thought that everyone was dead. All three of them thought they were the only ones alive, which is sort of, again, comparing to this, because the main characters thought that, I'm telling you what, my parents are dead, or my wife and daughter are dead, or my husband's dead. I don't even know we have a daughter. And yet, all of them are alive and all of them reunite because it's counted in the end. So it's, again, one person against everything else. One person against a tempest of everything else, which is the main point of this message. Another thing that this relates to is The Birth of Love by Wordsworth, where in comparing, like, this is more of the second half after Venus is dealt with love. This is more of the false hope versus hope deluded versus enjoyment, where this the one line, and it goes, it's all there again. Going back to that, the one line is it being one line matches up again with the solidarity, because it's one line, one person. It goes. The reason why it's done as one line is to help further increase the meaning. But okay, back to comparing this to Wordsworth, is that by that part of the poem is love. Love is realistically, and they've just figured out that hope. They've called out hope to do it, and enjoyment is not against it. This matches back to it as enjoyment fits into the role of the author in this, as enjoyment, because again, it seems like everyone is against it. Everyone is going for hope, and enjoyment is against hope in it. So this is against everyone else saying about it, because the positioning of this in the thread places everyone is being positive towards the piece of art that was exhibited, and everyone is hoping that's good, like the next one will be as good as well, and this works the same way. It goes there. Everyone is going for hope, just like everyone is hoping that the picture would be good before, yet the post itself is like enjoyment, and that it's trying by itself to overcome everything else, and failing, because in the end of Birth of Love, and enjoyment does succeed in getting the baby love from hope, and then it kills it. So just like this post is much the same, it's trying to avoid the reference, yet by referencing it, it's ineffective in and of itself. So it purposely fails to do what it intends to do to get its intended meaning across of the opposite thing. This paradoxical nature is also seen in another Shakespeare of Macbeth, where like this, it's saying that you should not, I need to speak out against the masses to say that speaking out against the masses is bad. It goes hand in hand with the foul is fair, fair is foul notation throughout Macbeth, where especially, well, first off, that's the line at the beginning of the witches' dialogues, that fair is foul, foul is fair, and it's the first line of the play. And commonly fair and foul are like, one point Macbeth says, "Never have so fair or foul a day I have seen." And the paradoxical nature is evident comparing this and trying to usurp one puts Daniel more in the position of Macbeth, where she's trying to defeat Duncan, who I'm going to list by schema is probably Ashtonage. I horribly mispronounced that, but I have no clue, but basically, yeah. And the fact is that by trying to usurp him, it succeeds as it sort of gets off, but in the end, the memory, which is sort of being played in this case by Ashtonage as Ahmad, is Macduff. Yes. you're both Duncan and Macduff comes back, defeats it, gets it back onto a topic just like its own. So again, it's saying that the paradoxical nature of and the thing that's trying to succeed but failing in the fact that the poem, the one-line poem, is related to Macbeth, relates to Macbeth and this paradoxical nature, just like the meaning of the poem is just like all at once, and by being reflected on Macbeth, it ends up showing that right away the doom in the future is known. So during the poem that Danny wrote, it's getting across the message that some people know that trying to speak out against the masses, although it might be the right thing to do, is most often going to end in a failure. You're going to be insulted and all sorts of things, just like another comparison, Orwell's 1984, where right at the end Winston Smith keeps on trying to speak out against Big Brother, join the resistance and such, just like this post is trying to go off against the main theme of people liking it, and in the end he fights it, fights O'Brien, but ends up converted, and at the end it's like he loves Big Brother. Just like in the end, Big Brother is really, since it's always watching, is really comparison to Lord English, and that he's already there. So the GIF of Lord English is really what was going, helps complete the comparison where Danny is Winston Smith. In the end, despite fighting out at the end, it's going to love the GIF. And so throughout this, the poem Untitled Poem 2029 by Daniel 990, it's comparing that by trying to fight out against the masses, although you might end up doing the right thing, it's not as good as it could be, and usually ends up causing trouble. And that is my IB oral commentary on your post.